So for all of you who are watching the podcast right now, we need to take a moment for Bridgette's microphone because that is the most iconic. And that's a perfect indicator to just how fantastic you are. And I'm so excited to have you here, Bridgitte. Welcome to the I Am More Than podcast.
I am so excited to be with you. I was just telling you, I like to add a little fun to things and, sparkles make me happy. So, the Enneagram 7, the cheerleader, the excited human inside of me has to come out often.
I love that. Good, as it should.
Yeah.
Now, gut health, I know that's your sweet spot. And it's something that has been so taboo for so long. I feel like people are starting to talk about it a little bit, but research shows that 3 in every 4 women suffer from gut health. I know for sure I'm one. I know a lot of the women listening right now are a part of that. So I love what you're doing, and I think it's so important. So this is going to be a value-packed conversation. So for everyone listening, grab your notebooks. You're going to want to take some notes.
Yeah. And I used to be part of that 3 of 4 because I had so many gut issues growing up. And I think too, it's important to set the stage that gut health affects so many things. And when we hear gut health, sometimes we think of, okay, am I bloated? Am I going to the bathroom? But it's so much more than that. So I'm so excited to dive in and just pour into who's listening because we deserve to feel amazing. So we got to fix our gut if we want to feel amazing.
Yep, we have to. Yeah. And you're the owner of GutPersonal. You're a functional medicine dietitian. You've done so many incredible things up to this point in your career, and you're so passionate about what you do. And I know that when passion is involved, there's always a personal story. So I'd love for you to take me back before all the accolades, before all the excess. What made you want to get into this field to begin with?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I was an athlete and I got injured. I was a competitive cheerleader and I got injured, and it was the first time in my life that exercise couldn't be the main way that I was taking care of my body. And so I found nutrition and I was so excited to dive into nutrition. I loved it. I loved the science of it. And I found out that I could do it as a career. I was like, oh my God, I can be a registered dietitian? Hell yeah. So I went to school to be a registered dietitian. And as I went through university, I felt worse and worse and worse. I gained a lot of weight. I had thyroid issues, migraine issues, ADHD. I was diagnosed with, you name it, gut issues and hormone issues, all of those things. And I was on 5 different medications, and it didn't make sense to me because it was I was learning in school that food should be used as medicine, yet I was on so many different medications. And so I found functional medicine in grad school. And I had a girlfriend who was working for Dr. Mark Hyman, who's an incredible functional medicine doctor. And he was the first taste of functional medicine I got. And functional medicine really just aims to get at the root cause. And I really wanted to know, instead of just what was happening to me with all these symptoms, why? I wanted to know that why. And when I then went to intern for Mark Hyman and really got into testing and how we can use functional medicine to heal, I did a poop test, which is not the most glamorous thing, but probably one of the best things I ever did in my life and continue to do to this day, and found out that all of my issues, my thyroid issues, my weight gain, all of it, migraines, hormone, gut issues, those were all because my gut was a mess. And it was so validating. Instead of feeling so frustrated in my body, so disconnected from my body, I finally felt confident. Not only confident in the plan of, okay, here's how we can fix your gut, but finally confident in my body, because it didn't feel like that my body was turning against me. It just felt like, okay, something's a little off and I can fix that. It was so empowering. And once I did that, once I healed my own body, I said, okay, I have a responsibility now to help so many women deal and fix these issues because I know the power of it. I know the power of healing my body. I know the power of healing my gut. And that's when I started my career and have been helping women the last 8 years, and started 2 different companies really focused on that. And it's been really exciting to see not only my personal story and how it shifted me, but then like to help thousands of women. It's so incredible.
It is incredible.
Thank you.
And like you had said, when you're first struggling with any type of gut issues,
Mhm.
or mainly the ones that we all know, right? Super bloated, or not being able to go to the bathroom, or going to the bathroom too much, or having all these issues, I feel like the first place people turn, especially in my experience, I'm like, I'll just like Google, who do I see for this? You go to a gastroenterologist. They do a lot of weird tests that are very expensive and
Yeah.
put you on medication. It's just
Yeah.
a bunch of band-aids. So knowing that you were really studying that field and wanting to go into that, and then you found functional medicine, how do people go directly to the functional medicine route and start approaching it differently instead of just like Googling gastroenterology?
Yeah, I mean, that's literally why I started the company that I'm working on right now, GutPersonal, is I wanted this hub, this place where women can get started, whether they want to do just a free quiz, or they want to dive fully in and do testing with us, or they want to work with our registered dietitians. I wanted this like one-stop shop where women feel like they are educated. And then with being educated, they feel empowered to take that next step to work on their gut through functional medicine, work on their body through functional medicine. And so um, I really created the company that I needed a decade
Mm.
ago. And I think it has been so powerful because we are a place where, even in the DMs, women feel so seen and heard by us. And that's what we need more of. When I was going through that health journey and I wasn't getting the answers, I felt so disempowered. I felt so like, this doesn't make sense to me why my labs are normal. I don't feel well. And I think it's
Mm.
so important for us women to fight for how we feel, you know what I mean? And find the company or the practitioner who is going to validate how we feel, and we are that for people.
I love that. I love that you said that you were creating something that you needed 10 years ago. I
Yeah.
think there's this quote that I absolutely love saying that often our purpose comes from helping the person we once were. And I
Yeah.
feel like by doing that, you can see it in your work and you can see it in how passionate you are. And I think it's really incredible that women can come directly to you and that you're looking at it more than just here's a supplement, you'll feel better, and
Yep.
you're off on your own. Where I think people are so overwhelmed by where do I start? Where do I turn? And it also takes a big leap of faith and courage
Mhm.
to step out and invest in trying to feel better from
Yeah.
the inside out. So
Yeah.
when you see women that are coming to you, is it mainly because they're just saying like I feel bloated or I have headaches, or what are you commonly seeing?
Bloating is probably the number one, to be honest.
Mm.
For sure. Bloating, headaches is really big. I think that's where what we're trying to do is educate that gut issues are more than just gut issues. You know what I mean? Like, my migraines were because of a really severe gluten sensitivity. And had I not tested, I would have never known that. And so,
Wow,
yeah, it was
that's
wild.
crazy.
So
I love
crazy.
that you just said more than gut issues
Yes.
because it really does impact everything. And I think if we get into even like the gut brain connection where people are starting to learn that that's important, but really everything starts in your gut, doesn't it?
Literally everything. I mean, you just brought up such a good point. Like, anxiety is something that women come to us with as well. That's very common. And it's like the gut brain connection is so powerful. If our gut is out of whack, if our microbiome is out of whack, it actually sends signals to our brain that change our neurotransmitters. And 70% of our serotonin, our feel good hormone, is made in the gut. If your gut it's messed up, it's out of balance, you can't make that feel good hormone efficiently. So the gut brain connection is so powerful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think really when it plays into mental health too, even when you go into some of the professionals in the mental health space, they're really quick to give medication. And I do get when people need medication, I myself am on medication, but I
Mm-hmm.
also know that medication can really have some negative impacts on your gut too, can it?
Absolutely. There are so many different medications that have impacts on the gut. I mean, the most common is birth control.
Really?
Yes, birth control has wild effects on our gut. And we don't even
Oh,
think of it as a medication, right? It's
yeah.
just like something that us women go on when we don't want to have babies. And
Mm.
or we're put on it to regulate our hormones, which, like you said before, it's just a band-aid. And so birth control has a huge effect on our gut health. So do SSRIs. But of course, I'm a believer in functional medicine, but also conventional. You know, when you need some things, it's all supportive and it's what people want, right? Like that's what we support women with. Um, and I think also too, on this like wellness functional medicine journey, something that we're always supporting women with is not going on a really restrictive diet. I think even when people hear dietitian, it's
Hmm.
important to know that like that's not our goal ever. Um, is we're here to empower and support and not feel restricted in any way. So I think that's also a common misconception with functional medicine or dietitians in general. Like you go to a dietitian to be put on a diet when really it's like what more to eat of, or maybe we don't need to edit nutrition at all. And it's just that personalized supplement routine.
That's fascinating. Now, are there a lot of differences between a dietitian and a nutritionist? Because
Oh
I
my
feel like a
God.
lot of people will go to a nutritionist, but you want to be put on a diet through a nutritionist. Am I wrong?
Well, it depends on the type of nutritionist for sure.
Hmm.
So, anyone with any education in nutrition can call themselves a nutritionist. It's not a regulated term or profession. Um, so, for example, if you go through a 6-month nutrition course, you can call yourself a nutritionist. To become a registered dietitian, you have to go to 6 years of school, 5 to 6 years.
Wow.
And I went to 10, so that was a little
Look
cray
at you,
cray.
you overachiever.
I'm telling you. Well, that last 3 years, I went to undergrad and then grad school, and then we have like a supervised practice. But those last 3 years were all in functional medicine because I wasn't okay with the education that I was given. It didn't make full sense to me. And that's why I went back to school for functional medicine. But there's a huge difference. And I think that's um, also, not talked about a lot. I never want to put down another profession ever, 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 or another woman in general. But there is a big difference in education and skill level and what we can do. As registered dietitians, we can order all of the tests that doctors can and some. We utilize not only conventional blood work and everything like that we can order, we can also do this really in-depth poop testing and hormone testing and vitamin testing. So it's really, you get the quality that you want to hire, I guess. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
So when you were interning in the beginning of your functional medicine career,
Yeah.
and you were in a different career where you were working as a functional nutritionist or dietitian, correct? Before you started your own business, or how did you make that
Yes.
transition?
Oh yeah. So I was working in other people's businesses,
Okay.
before I started my own. And I've been an entrepreneur now for 3 years, like almost to the day. And so June 2020 is when I stopped working for other people and started working for myself, when I became
Wow.
an entrepreneur, because it was like the same kind of story. It was like I felt really frustrated in my career. Even though I was doing really valuable work, I wasn't doing it in the way that I wanted to do it. And um, I wasn't working for people who were wildly heart centered, and I just didn't want to be working for them. You know what I mean? And there was like this calling that I was meant for more. And that's happened a lot of times in my career, not just with like my level of education and what I knew, but with what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be and how I wanted to change the world, I wanted to do it in my own way.
Hmm. I love that. And that takes a lot of confidence to step out and become an entrepreneur, especially in the middle of a pandemic.
Oh my gosh. I mean, my
Wow.
family thought I was wild, right?
I'm
Like
sure.
we were 3 months into the pandemic and, they were talking about, but you have your health care and you have all of these things that we put so much value on. You have security. But for me, that wasn't the end all be all, and I really think, you and I have talked about this equation for confidence, these things that you need for confidence. And for me, people see me as a very confident person in business and in life, but I had to pour belief into myself. I had to look at my limiting beliefs about myself and about my abilities to be a woman entrepreneur. And I had to shift those. I had to turn my beliefs into beliefs that served me. And that's
Hard.
how that's
That's
how I was
hard.
able to do that.
Yeah.
It is so hard. And for me, it took a daily practice, a
Take me through
very,
that. What did that look like?
yeah, I think the first thing is awareness.
Hmm.
If you're ever trying to take that like next leap, I'll use career as an example. So when I was wanting to be an entrepreneur, I had to actually be aware of the negative stuff and honor that and say, okay, that's like currently where I'm at. What do I want to believe? And then for me, a lot in the beginning was reading really inspiring books, that talked about beliefs, talked about money. Money was a huge block for me in the beginning because I had examples of people who made money that weren't like me, like my godfather, who's a male in business. Oh, he's not a female who's making a lot of money or having their own business. So I had to also surround myself with examples of people I wanted to be more like to shift those beliefs. So, for example, when I was starting my own business, I had positive examples on social media of women who I was looking at and saying, if she can do it, I can do it too. And I think that was a huge part of the confidence equation for me, and a huge part of shifting my limiting beliefs is having people around me who exhibited what I wanted to exhibit and saying, if they believe that, I can believe it too.
Yeah, that's huge. And it's hard, especially when you're going into it. And if you don't really have an example of what you want and you're still trying to shift, right?
Mhm.
Because our thoughts have so much power. We know
Mhm.
this, right?
Yeah.
But when you actually strip it all down, your thoughts
Mhm.
leading into your beliefs, you have to really focus on that, not only professionally, but also personally. Because
Mhm.
when you're working on your confidence as an entrepreneur, at least in my experience, where I'm trying to get confident in my craft, but then when I'm trying to focus on my confidence as an individual and as a woman, sometimes there's a disconnect there. Do you
Mhm.
find confidence when we strip the entrepreneur side of you away and you're working on your confidence as Bridgitte? Is that a different practice that you have to do, or what has that looked like for you?
Gosh, I feel like for me, the practice has been quite similar.
Hmm.
Whereas if I pour belief into myself at in business, I'm also believing in myself more as a human and having more confidence as a human. I feel like what's really helped with that in any sense is when I'm like taking the small steps before the big leaps, personally
Hmm.
or professionally. And it almost like adds to this confidence bucket. Like, and I will say, when I do that scary thing, or I stick up for myself personally, or I set a boundary that I really needed to set, and that helps my confidence with speaking up next time, that I celebrate it instead of just like brushing past it. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Which it helps me in both personally and professionally because I'm celebrating that success in showing my subconscious mind, our part of our mind that runs the show, that it was worth celebrating. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like that like I did this and I can do it again with a
Yeah.
harder thing.
Yeah, it's like building up your track record. And every
Yeah.
time you prove it to yourself, you're like, okay, let me go a little bit bigger and a little
Yeah.
bit bigger. But I think so much, especially for the perfectionists that I think a lot of female entrepreneurs are, it's easy to focus only on the big things.
Yeah.
And you have had tremendous success, not only just in Gut Personal, but also in your personal coaching business.
Yeah.
So when you took that huge leap of faith, I'm going to quit my job in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
I'm going to work on my limiting beliefs and I'm going to start this business. What was that like? Take me through the beginning of it. And then once you started seeing success, how that changed over time and how that changed your beliefs.
Yeah. So before I even quit my job, started working with a coach.
Mm.
And that was so powerful for me. I so believe in not just like doing the work by yourself, because honestly, I've always had some sort of support in my life for personal or professional. She was a mindset and business coach. So it's not only
Mm.
working on my mindset personally, I was working on it professionally too. So when I started the business, I had already been working with her for a month. And while that's a short period of time, it allowed for a lot of quick success. And, my first month in business, if anyone's an entrepreneur here, that like I had wild success that showed up as money.
Mm.
And a lot of success too in like doing the damn thing and being like, yeah, I'm doing this. And working with a lot of aligned clients. And my first month in business was $42,000. And I was like, okay.
Impressive.
It was. But I didn't even know this
Wow.
until months later because I was just leading with, and you even said this in the beginning of this podcast, is I led with passion.
Hmm.
Is that I went through this really hard thing that I now knew how to fix. And I showed up like I have the answer for you. And I think as entrepreneurs, what we're doing is we're solving that problem that we once had, like I just said.
Yeah.
And so because I showed up with such purpose and passion, and I hope that's how I'll always show up in any of my businesses, that led to a lot of financial and business success.
That's huge. And that
Mm.
has to be really gratifying too, to be able to
Yeah.
see that your passion is being able to be monetized. I
Yeah.
think that's at least something that I've struggled with personally is monetizing something that seems natural, for lack of a better word, or something that
Yeah.
I'm already passionate about. Because I think we've been programmed for so long that your job is your job, your career is what you
Yeah.
show up and do. But when you're building something of your own, it no longer is just a job.
Yeah.
Did you always know you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Did you always have that in you?
Yeah, absolutely. But
Mm.
I had to shift a lot. Like I said, like I didn't think I'd be successful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm a Midwest girl and I came out to Boston to the East Coast and I looked at all of this wealth around me when I was in grad school and I was like, I'll never be able to afford a house here. Those type of really deep limiting beliefs. It's not just like, oh, can I be successful in a business? It's like, no, like that was deeply ingrained into me is that I wasn't worthy of making money because of where I grew up. And so it's when we're talking about shifting beliefs, it's not just on the surface, it's really deep rooted stuff.
Yeah. And did you work with anybody that was a mental health professional, or was it just the business coach that was helping you understand this?
It was really the business coach, and she worked on
Wow.
a lot of energetics, and we worked on, NLP, which is, going into the subconscious mind. Yeah, it
Wow.
was really like that was the
Healing almost.
healing. Absolutely. And then I also did things like on my own, like To Be Magnetic is this type of meditation that uses binaural beats that it accesses the subconscious mind. And that was how I manifested because I was rewiring really deeply what I believed.
I need to look into that. That's
Yeah.
fascinating. I've never heard of that before. That's
Our
awesome.
our mutual friend who will be on the podcast, Jillian, who's our lead dietitian as well, she loved it as well. So we have lots of glowing reviews for that type of meditation.
Oh, I'll put that in the show notes so that anybody listening that also wants to do that meditation, sounds like that's where it's
Yes.
at.
It's really good. It's really good.
So you had your personal business and the one that made $42,000 in 1 month. That was your coaching business, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Then when did you decide you were going to launch Gut Personal?
So it was this same coach her name was Garrett. It was the same coach I started working with in the beginning of my business and who I had shared all of my hopes and dreams with. And apparently, although I didn't remember, talking about a supplement company and how I really saw this space in the market where women were not being served in a personalized way and that there was like a gap in the supplement industry. And when we go to start our business, when I went to start my business, I was like, well, that industry is saturated. That was a limiting belief of mine, right? Like, why would I just start another supplement company? There's millions out there. There's billion-dollar companies. But I did have this like deep like, oh, I think I can do it different. And I had said that to her in 2020. And then we had another conversation in the middle of 2021 and business was going great. We had already hit, 7 figures in our business, already helped hundreds of women. And she said, but what about that supplement company that you've always wanted to start? And I thought to myself, well, I'm helping hundreds of women, but like, what would it look like to help millions of women?
Hmm.
And I started to like dive into that question. Like, what would it look like to not just create a supplement company? What would it look like to change the lives of millions of women? And that was in July of 2021. I'm a very quick action taker because
Yeah, you are.
because
Wow.
I get into alignment. I figure out, okay, what is aligned for me? How do I want to do it? I also add in fun, like what would be really fun. I'm an Enneagram 7. So if you know the Enneagram, I'm all about fun and I'm a cheerleader. And so by September 2021, we had started working on the company and we launched the company in just 3 months, November 11th, 2021. So we've been a company for a year and a half and it's been
Wow.
wildly fulfilling to do something that I've never done. And, on the success side of things, I had those visions of women who are really successful. I want to be that for other women. I want to go first. I want to do hard things. To start Gut Personal, we actually took on investors, all female entrepreneurs, and we're actually in a fundraise right now, which is just such a cool thing because that's something I never did. That's something I never thought I could do. Um, and it was another like drop in my confidence bucket. Like, Bridgitte, you can figure this out. You can figure out anything. If you can figure out how to fundraise without an MBA and just ask questions, you can do anything. So it's been really, really great the last year and a half growing this company.
I think it's so powerful what you said. You never thought you could do it.
Yeah.
And I think that there's so many of us that have had an idea or we have this vision of what we want to accomplish. And as you said too, the supplement market is quite saturated. You go into any store ever, you see them all there on Amazon, anywhere. But for you to take that leap, and then it sounds like you're just continuing to build that confidence muscle by
Yeah.
challenging yourself more and more and more. And I think that so many of us will just sit back and just be like, well, she could do it, but I don't have the skills. I don't have the courage
Mhm.
to do it. And
Yeah.
you're really proving to women that you can. You just have to
Yeah.
believe in yourself.
1,000%. I think belief is at the root of it all. I truly do. I think that, my skills, becoming a dietitian, right? Like all of my education is based in science. So how does it make sense that I'm successful with numbers and running a company? It doesn't. But I believe that if I listen to my gut, if I move with intention, if we, collaborate with the right people, if we market it in a way that feels really good, then we're going to be successful. And that's what we've done so far.
And I like that you said, listen to your gut. It all
Yeah.
comes back. So when you healed your gut all those years ago and you really started investing in this business, you noticed obviously that you felt better, but you had less brain fog. You didn't have migraines anymore. How have you been able to maintain that good gut health? Is it possible for people to heal it one time and then you're just always healed? Or are you consistently healing it in every new chapter?
There's definitely a consistency with it. I think like when our gut is our weak link of our body, we all have a weak link. And the gut, many times for us women, is the root of it. It's something that does need to be healed consistently. We go through different seasons in our life. My gut was healed for years before I had a really stressful 6 months. It was a time where I was growing my coaching business. I was taking on way too many clients. I was doing way too many things. I was working so much and I burnt myself out a little bit. There's like this 6-month period. And it was great because it was a lesson to me that I don't really want to burn out. I don't want to, burn the candle at both ends. That doesn't serve me. And so after that, my gut was kind of a mess, not to where it was at all, but it was the awareness that, oh, okay, these symptoms are starting to come back. I'm going to do another test and see what's up. Of course, I know how I got here, which was stress. Stress is the biggest thing that screws with our gut. And I know
Yeah.
how I got here, but now how do I heal? And
And
so
what were your symptoms?
my symptoms at that point were bloating. I mean,
Okay.
that was really the biggest. I was going to the bathroom inconsistently. And when I did, it was, not good. It was just uncomfortable. And I started to have skin issues again. And so for me, skin issues are redness instead of acne. I know a lot of women get acne that have gut issues. Mine was really redness and like uneven skin tone. Um, so those were really big for me. And anxiety, that was also big. And that's where I really learned like I needed a lot more magnesium than I was taking. And then I fixed my gut.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And you got to see all of this through these tests that you were doing.
Absolutely. And that's the thing too, is like for some of us, for some women that we see, they'll heal once and be like, oh, I'm healed forever. Right.
Yeah.
Like, oh, but it does take that like awareness or like action taking. If you
Mm.
start to feel off a little, it's like taking that action of like, okay, I need to focus on this. I need to invest in this because also, functional medicine, it's not only a energetic commitment, right? Where you're like, okay, I'm going all in on this area, but it's also a financial commitment. And it's really important that we invest in our health. We invest in so many things. A conversation that sticks out to me that, I tend to have a couple times a year is someone telling us they can't work with us because of financials, but then they're renovating their bathroom. And
Mm.
you're like, this is just where their priorities are. And not that I'm here to set anyone's priorities, but I'm here to say that we deserve as women to feel amazing and that we can. We just have to go all in.
I love that. And you're so right. Our priorities, I've seen this, it's like a Pinterest quote that goes around everywhere. And it's like, oh, I can't afford it or prioritize it. But then it shows everything that you're spending on every month. And it's like out to eat or the time on my phone or all this stuff. And it's like, it's all about priorities
Yeah.
and what you want to put your attention into. And I think it's hard for people to want to invest as much because they just want to feel amazing. The journey to get there, the
Mhm.
expenses, the testing, all of that stuff is what deters people. But if they were to come on and start working with you guys right away and get a testing, what is the first thing that they're doing? What's the first thing you're recommending?
So the first thing, I mean, is literally getting that test done. So it's kind of a waiting game in the beginning, you know what I mean? It's not like you get test results the next day. It's a couple weeks. And so the first thing that we're doing is getting that test done and getting those results in. And we do a really comprehensive look also at a health history and an intake form. And it's really in depth, and it's honestly really cool because we get to learn so much about you. And then it's not only that we get to learn about you through your lens and what your experience is, but then we pair that with the actual science of the lab test. And we're like, okay, she's feeling this thing. It is directly correlated to what it's saying on her test. And it's so validating that getting those test results.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm going through the test with you guys now, and I'm
Yay!
so excited to see those results because I've
Yeah.
worked with different doctors, gosh, over the last 10 years. And I feel like some tests you get a little bit of information, but it's not so
Mhm.
comprehensive.
Yeah.
And I think that you guys looking at it both from, you said from our lens, us talking to you about what we're feeling, and then also looking at the science.
Yeah.
Then once we get those results back, do you believe that supplementation is what completely heals, or is this through lifestyle changes too?
Yeah. I mean, it is 1,000% through supplements
Mm.
because, as a dietitian, and this is so common on social media that there are all these like diets or nutrition trends that fix your gut. And as a dietitian, I wish that was the case. I wish we could change our diet and our gut changes, but the reality is we need more potency. We need very specific supplements to heal very specific things. And so um, when we're working with clients one on one, you not only get supplements maybe from GutPersonal, but we use sometimes, if we need to, stronger supplements that we're not going to release ever to the public because we need those test results to be able to use, the really heavy stuff.
Interesting. And
Yeah.
do you believe, I know food is medicine to a degree,
Yes.
but we
Yes.
can't get everything that we need through our food, can we?
Yes. Absolutely not.
Mm.
Even vitamins and minerals, magnesium is if if there's one thing that every woman should be taking, it's magnesium. Gut issues or not. Magnesium is so deficient in our food that now our bodies are so deficient. And so when we take magnesium, it relaxes our muscles, it relaxes our mind. So many of women now struggle with anxiety and just feeling anxious. And a lot of that comes back to a magnesium deficiency and gut health.
Mm. That's so interesting to me because I feel like that's something that really isn't talked about. But like you said, most of our serotonin lives in our gut, right? Didn't you say like 90% of it?
Yeah, a vast majority of our serotonin is made by the gut. And so if the gut isn't healthy, we can't make our serotonin. It's also the same. I always say, like, listen to your gut. Like I said, like I listen to my gut. Our gut is where we have our intuition, right? And so if our gut is unhealthy, it's really hard to listen to our intuition. And I really think our intuition is what sets us apart from people. You know what I mean? Our gut feeling, our gut instinct is so powerful at helping us with decision making and growing as a human and our confidence. And so you can't listen to your gut if it's unhealthy. So that's another important thing.
I love that you brought that up because I think that we've all heard listen to your gut or
Yeah.
follow your gut, right? But I think so many people are not connected to their bodies.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of intentionality to be connected to your body. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that for somebody that struggles with anxiety, I have my whole life, I've always struggled trying to figure out what is my intuition and what is coming from anxiety. Have you
Absolutely.
experienced that as well?
Absolutely. And so I think it's, there's a lot of things, and it's going to be so wildly cool to heal your gut and to
I'm so
watch you go
excited.
through this journey because there's so much that we can learn and support women with to feel really, empowered of these are my hacks, because I know a lot of my anxiety and what causes it. You know what I mean? It's not just it's very physical. It's very there are chemicals that are being made that are being mismade to create that. And then there's also the lifestyle piece too, which we work on more in depth with our clients as well.
Which is important. I think there's a lot of stuff that we are ingesting every day that we don't really understand the effect that it's having. And when we did an Instagram story questionnaire earlier, people were writing in, one of the questions people wanted to know was, what are the effects of alcohol on your gut?
Oh, golly.
I know.
That, yeah, I mean, and listen, guys, I am someone that when I'm not pregnant, which I currently am, I do drink. So let me just say that right now. But alcohol has a real effect on our gut, So it's not only going to change our gut and it's going to make it leaky the next day, what we call like leaky gut. But it actually decreases the good bacteria in our gut. So it's not that, if you enjoy a glass of wine or alcohol, to cut it out, it's more about what to have. So we have this product called the Soother, and I use it after I drink alcohol. It's soothing, it's healing to the gut. So there are supplements that we can use to deeply heal and to change our gut, but then there are also supplements we want to keep in our natural medicine cabinet to, okay, if I drink alcohol, I'm going to have this the next couple days.
And you brought up natural medicine cabinet, which
Yes.
I think is something that I'm still so fascinated by, the fact that there's all these natural alternatives. We were even speaking about, you talked about ibuprofen being so horrible on your gut. And I think when people are struggling, if they have headaches or if they're having symptoms that are coming from the gut, they'll take something like ibuprofen to help that and not realize that it's doing damage.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there are different remedies for different things, and they actually work, guys. Like, I want to say that it's so funny because when I was moving into natural health, I was like, no freaking way. And I was, still in my gut health journey, and I was having a lot of cramps during my period. And I started to add in these things like more magnesium on my period, adding in more fish oil, adding in turmeric, and I wouldn't have cramps.
No way.
Yes.
That's amazing.
It was wild. Magnesium is such a hack when you have bad cramps, and it's so helpful for your hormones in general. So yeah, it's like these things that we can't imagine that a natural remedy will work as well, but sometimes it works even better.
Wow. And I'm sure those natural things work really well when you have healed your gut and healed baseline stuff, right? Not just putting Band-Aids on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So interesting. What are some other really common myths or misconceptions that you hear about gut health?
Gosh, that's such a great question.
I feel like there's so many out there.
Yeah. I think honestly, the biggest thing is that like the misconception is that like healing your gut just heals your gut symptoms. And if I could drive that home, that like, I just thought of, it's May. I was in Austin, where you live, a couple months ago, and my allergies were really bad. And I was reminded, okay, something is going on with my gut, because your gut should be able to break down histamines. And it can't, that's when we have allergies. And I was reminded at the power of healing your whole body. You know what I mean? So allergies are related to our gut.
That's so interesting. I had no idea. My allergies are killing me lately.
Oh my gosh. Especially if you're not from a location, right? Like your immune system hasn't been able to like adjust, but oh yeah, allergies are gut issues too.
Everything. It all comes back to your gut.
Yeah.
I have another myth that I just have running through my mind that I grew up hearing, that anytime that you feel like you're having stomach issues, just eat some yogurt for probiotics. Have you heard that one?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And it comes from a good place, but even the yogurt that's like on the shelves is so low in probiotics and not the right strains. And then for some people, dairy makes it a lot
Even
worse.
worse.
So yeah, it's like, again, like using food as medicine can be great, but once you're healed,
Yeah.
and you're doing like the really specific things. So
Now,
yeah.
going into this supplementation world, that you have your own line of supplements now. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's been interesting manufacturing it, seeing it. What really separates you guys and how you formulate your supplements from something that someone would just go and buy from the store?
Yes, that's such a great question. One of the reasons I wanted to start Gut Personal is there were specific supplements that weren't available to the public,
Hmm.
specific potency or specific qualities. They're only available to practitioners. So they're only available to doctors and dietitians, basically. And that didn't make sense to me. I was like, the people can take these. Um, and they don't need to be seeing me as a dietitian or a doctor. And so they're of the highest quality. A huge difference that we do that most supplement companies in the store don't do are do third party testing, which basically means our manufacturer makes a supplement that we formulate, and then we send it to a third party lab. So a lab that doesn't work for either of us. They have no strings attached if this supplement is good for you, if it actually has what it says it has, and if it's free from pesticides and heavy metals. So we do third party testing, which adds a big expense to us as a company, but it's something we have to do. Supplement industry is not regulated by the FDA, and it's not regulated really at all. And so
Hmm.
you have to go to reputable supplement companies if you're putting it in your body. And so most of the companies that are in CVS or on Amazon are not high quality supplements, and I wouldn't take them.
That's huge. Because I
Yes.
think a lot of people will just think kind of like one size fits all. Oh, I'll take a multivitamin
Yeah.
or just a probiotic, and they're really not looking into what's in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's a lot out there. It's confusing, right? And that's where I think the education and empowerment piece comes, that we're really trying to do is we have a lot of free resources for people. We do master classes all the time so people can learn. And I do a lot of podcasting, you know what I mean? To like educate people on like this is what you do want to be doing. Don't waste your money in trying to take a bunch of supplements that you're not sure that works. Spend your money in a really good reputable company that's you're actually going to notice differences. With supplements, you should always really notice the difference when you're taking them. So that's a key too.
That's good to know, because I think so many people have medicine cabinets filled with different supplements that
Yeah.
they've just collected, and they don't know what works and what doesn't work,
Of course. Yeah.
you know?
I mean, I get it. And it's you need different supplements for different seasons, right? And then some supplements, like, yeah, they're going to always be in your natural medicine cabinet, but you should see an effect from using supplements.
Well, I am very excited to go through this whole process with you, because I think I know a lot of this stuff when it comes to gut health because I've been invested in this for so long.
Yeah.
And yet I still have a medicine cabinet filled with stuff that I don't know where it came from. I don't know what it is. I use it every now and again, but I'm excited to see the progress. And I think it's encouraging for anybody that's listening right now to know that if you are feeling in your gut that something's not right, you're probably right, and
Mm-hmm.
you're worth investing in.
1,000%. Couldn't have said it
Yeah.
better.
Well, I absolutely loved getting to chat with you. I think you're incredible. And I really love how you kept bringing up just really looking into limiting beliefs, because
Mm-hmm.
we all have them. And I think it's easy to look at someone that's built so much and is so successful like you and know that you're still doing that. So let's
Yeah.
leave our listeners with something that you're doing every day to help yourself continue to let go of those limiting beliefs and continue to grow.
Yeah. Every morning before I get out of bed, I put in my headphones and I listen to a meditation, and I
Mm.
pour into myself the beliefs I want to believe that day, how I want to feel that day. I think our intention of our day and how we want to feel is so powerful and so easy. And just taking a moment to set an intention for your day of how you want to feel and how you want to show up is so powerful. So I meditate and I set intentions before I even get out of bed, and lay with my 2 golden retrievers, and they meditate with me, my
I love
husband.
that.
And yeah, it's a good time. It's really something that I'm loving, and I'm also proud of myself for doing every day.
Yeah. Do you use a specific app?
Yeah, I go between a couple. So I use that meditation, the To Be Magnetic that I was talking about earlier. They have an app. I use Theta Breathwork is a type of breath work that I'll use. Um, and then sometimes I just Google or YouTube Bob Proctor. He's a great older white dude that just says the most incredible stuff. And his meditations are really good. So I go between those 3.
Perfect. I'm going to link those in the show notes so I can look back on them too, because I'm dabbling with trying to expand my meditation practice a little bit more because it is so valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. I love
Well,
that.
thank you for your time. You're amazing. I'm so inspired by you, and I just appreciate you coming on and sharing so much of your wisdom.
Thank you. I'm so grateful for you.